when you guys first got started, you posted some of your music on Triple J Unearthed back in early 2014. Yeah. When you guys were developing your sound, did you take into account your playability on Triple J?
You always have to, when you write, it's more or less when you write a song, you do have to keep in mind, like, what's commercial and what's not. Like, we're not going to put
But at the same time, it depends if that's what you want, though. Yeah. If you want to have a music career, then you sort of, but I guess the same thing can be said about ourselves. We didn't really kind of take that advice. Where it's just like, if you want to have a career, it's sort of look at what the industry is doing right now and look at the trends and sort of do that. Where, I guess, at the same time, as I was saying, we didn't take that advice. We didn't do that. We just sort of wrote what we've always loved, and people seem to be responsive to it. It's not like we're reinventing the wheel or anything. We're sort of just doing, I guess, like, revamping the sort of the 90s type sound.
What is that trend? You mentioned there's like you follow a trend to get sort of the best success. What would you say is the current trend?
It's more like big key points that a lot of bands fail on, I think, is song structure. A lot of their song structure is wrong. Like, it's just been proven time and time again. But it's like, it's just been proven time and time again that a really good structure to just keep in mind is just, go big in the choruses and, really drive it home. The whole song should build up to a finale, not, don't have a massive first verse and then the chorus just completely drops off, not in the right way.
It's also about, like, keeping the people interested as well, like, having your hooks and all that sort of style too. And everything we're talking about is just commercially. You can write whatever songs you want, and that's amazing because, that's just the beauty of music. You can just write whatever you want. We're just talking radio and commercially, like what we think is, applicable. And it's like you just look at pop songs and stuff like that. Look at like what's on the radio and do all that, or even look at some of your favorite songs. Say from the 90s, early 2000s, or any time period you want. Even like 1600s. Probably not. Hello, that's not 16 anyway.
Because you see on very commercial radio stations like Nova, B105, those ones, the songs are very structured. They're similar in ways, but stations like what Triple Z, Triple J, more like indie stations, do they encourage a different sound of music, or do you think they're similarly encouraging the sort of same structured thing?
Think it's still quite similar.
Yeah, it is similar, just not as strong of a push on it, but you can tell, even listening to Triple J, like, they do have their experimental stuff on there, and you can tell it doesn't follow the normal structure, but if you listen to the top 100 and, like, properly listen to the top 20, within each genre, the structures are somewhat similar. Like, maybe, like, genre to genre, it'll be different, but it will still be somewhat similar.
You can make it like a half an hour, like your magnum opus, but like don't expect it to be on radio or anything like that.
How are you guys approaching the distribution of the EP that's coming out later this year for you guys, digitally and physically? How do you
digitally and physically? We're actually, that's what I'm saying. It's still like negotiations, like, so that's sort of going on right now. But we're going through. I sort of don't want to name names at the moment, but we're working with a team in Los Angeles. So we were doing some stuff with people in Australia, but we just personally think that, it's just the American music industry, like, compared to the Australian one, it's just, how can you compare them all? There's different radio stations for everything, like, absolutely everything. You'll have, like, there'll be, like, an alternative rock channel, but then there'll be, like, 4 or 5 of them or something like that, and you're like, oh, whoa, like, maybe not that much, obviously, but there's a lot of variety, and there's a lot of that variety, too, so it's just, like, there's not just Triple J, B105, Nova, Triple M.
Do you send your EPs to radio stations when you get new
Every single one. Every time we drop on, we send it. There's many different ways. Like, at the moment, we're probably going to go through. I think they have a publishing team. We're gonna go through what they're doing
and online distribution.
So there's people and there's sites where you can go to them and they will put all your music up on all the internet sites. So iTunes, you can pay them, they can do it. And then there's also other people that you can go to, which will send all your EPs, all your music to all rural stations. Then there's other people for more money who will do it for the bigger stations. There's people you can pay, you can do it yourself, but it's just so much easier having a publishing house because they know all the contacts. You don't have to make them yourselves.
That's like if you're, quote, good enough.
Is live music something that's very important to you guys as a band?
It's the most important
Live's
thing.
everything.
The most important thing.
I prefer our sound live than on recording.
Not so much also that too. Like obviously social media and stuff like that is a massive part of it. But if you can't, there's very few cases, but where it works that way. But if you can't do a show live, then a lot of people are not going to bother with you because, especially first of all, if you can't do it, you don't have the people, or you can't do it as in like you don't have the talent. Like you're a singer, like you're doing recording, but you smashed out like 100 times in the vocal booth and you can't do it once live, then yeah, they're probably not going to get you because a lot of venues at the start they either ask for like a thing or just a rough recording of what you're like live or just any other live footage or something like that. But
that's what a lot of bands, like, even though a few like companies and whatnot, they've been like, yeah, okay, send us a clip of you recorded, and they're like, all right, yeah, can you send us a clip of you live?
They don't even ask for clips of you live. If you're talking to like record labels and stuff like some of the ones that we've dealt with, now naming names again, the one thing they'll do, like I went down to Sydney to go speak to this one record label, like Major, and everything was sort of like, they're like, everything, you're ticking all these boxes, all we have to do is come see you live now. They won't sign anything with you until they see you live.
Is it very competitive, the sort of local live scene, even acts just in the valley of the city?
Yes, but they won't, like, they don't want you to kind of know that. Like, what I mean by that is, like...
It's healthy competition.
Yeah, there always has to be, but it's more... Once you start getting really good, like, it's fine. You become friends with people, you start opening for each other, that's fine, but you also need
make friends with bands.
Yeah. Like, have you guys ever played a festival, or is that something you would want to do or aiming to do?
A festival is different because
completely different in a way, because like a lot of things you
won't get into
you need to start rural, very rural. Like you need to start very rural, very small, unless because Jordan went to Little Big Sound and they said
Big Sound.
Yeah, sorry, Big Sound, and for Jordan can tell you word for word what the actual guy said about getting into festivals.
It was these guys who were doing the big festivals like Red Deer and Groove of the Moo and like type like stuff like that, and they said one guy asked the question, out of all the submissions you get, how many people do you actually take on? And the guy went, honestly, we probably do 95% management and publicity and about 5% submissions, if that.
So you have to have a manager or some form
you're not
of
gonna
management.
You're not going to get into a festival unless you're like got some crazy good like online. You manage yourself. You got some crazy good like following or whatever, or you get a publicist manager or whatever, or a booking agent rather. But we have been a part of like indie sort of festivals, but they're sort of like the more other people put them on and they've had like a club that they've gone to being like, hey, we want to put this whole day on thing. So we've been part of like indie festivals, but nothing like I'd say too major, and that's because management and booking agents and stuff like that, and yeah, we just don't have the traction right now to do that by ourselves anyway. So hopefully soon with the people that we got in LA, that will be a possibility.
How do you guys see, as sort of makers of music and listeners of music, how do you see music streaming and how that's sort of going to affect?
I don't, it doesn't bother, like, I think especially at our age, it's just so ingrained into our life that I wouldn't care if people are, then again, we're not living off money that we make from music, but it doesn't bother me if people illegally download or stream our music, because it's just a part of life, it's just the way it works. People are touring more, there's other ways to make money. Sure, you'll be making less money, and it is harder on, like, young bands who are just starting out.
Right.
But at the same time, a young band shouldn't be expecting to make money off their music.
Yeah.
You should be doing it, first of all, for the love of it, and second of all, just for the expo. Like,
would you say it's more of an exposure tool?
But there are times where you do pick your points. Like, say if someone's like, oh, we'll come and do this massive thing, and then it's you'll get exposure, and you're just like, no, like, you give me, like, money or, like, writers or something, like, feed me, or, like, but do have value in your work. Absolutely have value in your work.
Definitely. Don't never work for free, but like with the whole
unless you think it's a good opportunity. Like there's been times where we played for bigger bands where like, nah, don't worry about like paying us.
Suck your dick.
There we go.